We are in Riverside at the Riverside Heritage House, and I'm joined by Deanne. Thanks for having us here today.
Pleased to have you.
So tell us about this unique house.
This is a Queen Anne Victorian. It was built in 1891 by a Mrs. Catherine Bettner. And she, instead of putting her house way in the back of the property, as people with money usually did, she said, no, I'm somebody. I'm going to be out here in the forefront. So that's why this lovely big home was built here and not way in the back of the property. This room, as you can see, is completely different from the rest of the house. The rest of the house is Victorian. This is not. This is neoclassical.
But what makes it neoclassical?
Well, the simplicity, first of all. Gold and white was the other point. Also, to about the late 1890s, early 1900s, people were becoming interested in keeping things simple. Victoriana is not simple. That's very ornate. The dark colors, the dark burgundies, the greens, the navies, the gold, that's Victorian, not in here.
So this room right here, which I love this, look at this, turquoise type, the cloth on the chair, which kind of matches the fireplace right there.
Deliberately.
That is beautiful.
Well, the furniture in here was not Mrs. Bettner's. As a matter of fact, almost every piece in this house, except for the few that belong to Mrs. Bettner, are on loan to us from private collections or have been donated to the house.
Wow.
They're 14-foot ceilings, by the way, and they're white oak, very expensive even for that time. It was a trip to come from the East Coast to the West Coast. And even though they had trains, it could take you up to 4 weeks to do it.
Wow.
That is why your guests planned on staying a nice period of time, anywhere from 4 to 6 months with you, because it took them that long, I guess, just to catch their breath and gird themselves and ready to do it again, to go back. The fireplaces were not built to burn wood, only coal. And so therefore, coal was more expensive, and so you weren't going to go through water on your coal. Your coal fire. What you're going to do is you're going to put your fire screen in front of it and maybe push your coals to one side a little bit so it would not burn quite so evenly and so well, and the room would start cooling down.
Now, this is the kitchen.
The kitchen. You'll notice there's no counter space as such. Victorians didn't have counters on which they prepared foods. They prepared food on tables, on the top of these dressers, and if you'll look at the bottom, I don't know if you can see too well, but those are bins, one probably for beans, flour, rice, something of that nature. Again, hot and cold running water, because there's the hot water heater right there.
It is right there. Wow.
And you fed coal into it, or rather the servant did, and it's gravity operated, and so when you turn the water on upstairs, the pump just pulls it upstairs.
Now that is a very short stove.
Yeah, it's a built-in stove. One of the first in the United States, because it's built into that brick wall. If we wanted to remove it, we would have to demolish the wall.
Wow.
When I lived in Europe, I saw many potties like that with the high hanging tank.
Up at the top.
And that is what they call a John Douglas toilet. And just to throw this in, that's where we get the word the John from.
Is it really?
John Douglas toilet was very popular and was in a lot of houses.
Did not know that.
The servant did not use those big lovely stairs in the front. Servants did not use the same staircase. That did the master, mistress, or the family. The only time the servant was on the master staircase was when he or she was cleaning them. And that became a point of contention rather, between Mrs. Bettner and her contractor architect. The house was about 2/3 completed when Mrs. Bettner came to her architect contractor and said, "Where's the stairs for my servant?" He said, "What are you talking about? You never said you wanted stairs for your servant." She said, "How many of these houses have you built? Haven't you ever made them before? But you didn't say you wanted them." It became such an argument that it was one of the first lawsuits in Riverside County. He sued Mrs. Bettner because she wanted him to pay for it.
Yeah.
And she sued him back because she felt he was responsible and he needed to pay for it, for the stairs. So at any rate, the judge said, "You're both at fault." He said to the contractor, "You've built enough of these homes. You know there's always a staircase for the servants. Mrs. Bettner, you're equally at fault because you waited until the house was nearly completed before you brought this little point up, probably trying to get them for free." So this house, instead of costing approximately $10,500, cost $10,800. What she used her porch for, we don't know. We set it up as if there had been a laundry set up back here for the servant to do laundry. That is one of the early washing machines.
Wow.
And it is something that, even though people say, "Oh, it was, you had electricity," no, that helped the servant to, I'm going to walk around you.
Oh yeah, please.
To be able to grab this and go back and forth, and that's what this does, the gears for it.
Oh, okay.
Back and forth, until finally servants had enough, opens up this spacious machine.
Yeah, I can fit about 3 shirts. Wow.
Or 3 socks.
Or 3 socks, yeah.
And then would take them out. Here are your wringers, ring, 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 into your tub. And then you would go over here, and you have 2 sinks. Your first sink would be full cold water. Now people said, "Why do you have the plumber's friend sitting in the sink?" It's not a plumber's friend.
A plumber's friend. A plunger.
It's not a plunger. It's one of these. You helps beat the soap out of the clothes that you're rinsing.
This is great. I want to thank you very much,
Oh,
Janet.
fine.
You've been wonderful. This is great.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
Great. Now, again, a unique place in Riverside, in the Inland Empire, the Heritage House.